Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Diatra Mbitsash. I'm the head of product at Johnson Labs, and I'm excited to walk you through the generative AI capabilities of the NLP Lab, our no-code AI platform that brings the power of natural language processing at your fingertips. Designed for private deployments and built to enterprise standards, our platform is perfect for organizations, big and small, that need to process and structure text data to extract different types of insights. Let's start by seeing what sets NLP Lab apart from other platforms. Well, first of all, we offer AI-assisted annotations, which automates away most of the manual data annotation efforts. This is a game changer for many industries that rely on high-quality data for machine learning models. Secondly, NLP Lab is the only tool that allows you to mix and match models, rules, and prompts to pre-annotate your data. This flexibility ensures that you can tailor the platform to meet your specific needs or requirements. Then last but not least, we've designed an NLP Lab with domain experts in mind. Whether you're in healthcare, law, finance, or any other field, our platform enables you to leverage the power of AI without requiring a background in machine learning or coding skills. Today, I'm happy to go through some of the recently added generative AI features that take these capabilities to the next level. In order to use the GPT pre-annotations, you need to define the GPT service in the NLP Lab. The integration is straightforward. It mainly consists in adding GPT as an outside service and define your API key. If you have multiple projects or different environments or multiple teams, you can define as many API keys as you need. NLP Lab offers cross-platform compatibility, so you can either use the OpenAI service endpoint or Azure OpenAI service. Let's see how this is done in practice. First, navigate to the settings page and then to the integrations tab on the NLP Lab dashboard. Here you'll find an option to add new integration. Click on it and you'll be shown a pop-up allowing you to define the service name, service endpoint, and to input your API key. If you're working on multiple projects or teams, you can define multiple integrations. Just make sure to give each one a descriptive name so you can easily identify its purpose later. You can test the integration and then hit save. Now you're ready to start experimenting with GPT models on your data. Let's now focus on a first use case, that of text classification. This is a task that's fundamental across industries from healthcare, finance, to customer service and beyond. The challenge is how to classify large volumes of text into meaningful categories without spending countless hours or doing it manually. Now, the de facto solution until recently was to use pre-trained DL models to classify tasks. But what to do when those models are not available? Well, an alternative is to use GPT-based pre-annotations to jumpstart your project. Thanks to the integration with ChatGPT, NLP Lab now allows text classification into predefined or into custom categories with minimal manual intervention. All you need to do is define a prompt that describes the categories you are interested in, and NLP Lab will handle the rest. You don't need a background in machine learning to leverage this feature. The no-code interface makes it accessible for professionals from all walks of life. Now, let's dive into a little demo to show you how quickly and easily it can be set up, how quickly we can define a text classification prompt on NLP Lab. Now, imagine you are interested in analyzing social media posts to detect mentions of adverse drug events associated with newly released or with existing drugs. You will need a pipeline that will continuously collect data from, let's say, Twitter, Reddit, or other specialized health forums where individuals often share their experience with medications. Now, using NLP Lab, the collected data can be pre-processed to filter out irrelevant information, then analyzed to identify mentions of drug names alongside adverse reactions, for instance. So, posts mentioning severe headaches following the intake of a new migraine medication, or maybe other posts mentioning unusual fatigue experience while taking a particular brand of cough syrup. those will be flagged for further investigation. And this can be done normally with specialized adverse event detection DL pre-trained models for high accuracy. But in the absence of such models, the same task can be jump-started with the use of GPT prompts. Now let's start by writing a prompt which determines if a text speaks about adverse events or not. So from the hub of resources, navigate to the prompts page and add a new prompt for external resources. Specify a name of the prompt and then choose the classification type. You can edit the temperature for the response generation, and then you can enter the prompt text in a similar way you do it on the ChatGPT UI. So I'm using a very short and simple prompt, but you can experiment with more complex ones or even provide some examples or expected results. So in this case, after specifying the prompt content, I need to specify the list of choices to consider, here, present, and absent. Then I enter some text data, like a tweet, for instance, and then I press the test button. Right away, I see the response, which is generated by the GPT model, and the associated confidence level. You can further experiment with other positive and negative examples and refine the text of your prompt until the results are those that you expect. You can also edit the prompt in case it does not work as expected. And once you are done, you can save the prompt and it will become available to reuse in your projects. Now let's continue focusing on the same adverse drug event use case we discussed earlier. Imagine we now want to extract information about the drugs which are mentioned in this social media post. Entity pre-annotation is instrumental in this process. So pre-trained NeuroDL models still take the first place in terms of efficiency of the results, but in their absence, or if you don't have such a pre-trained model, annotation projects can benefit of GPT-based pre-annotations, even though GPT models are not very good at NER tasks. But we added a set of post-processing features to the NLP Lab, allowing result validation as well as reconciliation of entities identified by ChatGPT and fixing of the return indexes. Now let's see how we can use it in practice. So same as for the classification prompts, I need to navigate to the hub of resources, add a new prompt, specify the name of the prompt, and choose the entity type. And that's it. I put in the text of the prompt, and now I can start testing it on my own data. So as you can see, the prompt is expressed in natural language, just contains some instructions on what we need to extract. So I use a couple of examples obtained from patient forums. I copy paste them into the text window and press the test button. Right away, I see the obtained results and an indication if NLP Lab was able to process the GPT outputs. I can then continue my experiments until I'm satisfied with the results and then save the prompt and exit. Let's now see how we can combine pre-annotation resources as part of a project. For this, I will create a new project, put in a name or short description. I will skip the team creation part and continue with the default NER text annotation template. For this example, I will choose the entire document option for annotation, but when you are dealing with larger tasks, you can consider splitting them into relevant sections. On the reuse resource page, I go to the prompts tab and add the NER prompt as well as the classification prompt I just created. So I add them to my project configuration. I can also combine those with other pre-annotation resources such as pre-trained DL models. Now let's reuse, for instance, a model that identifies diagnoses and one that predicts medical tests. Finally, on the customization step, I can further customize my project if necessary. I can assign colors to entities so that I can easily identify them in my annotation screen. And also on the code view, I can check all entities and choices from my project and see if they are linked to models or prompts or rules. Here I can also add custom entities or choices that will be manually handled by my annotators or the team who will work on the project. I will then save my configuration and try to import some sample tasks. So I have prepared some Twitter posts in which users talk about their experience with different drugs or medical treatments. Once the data is imported, I can pre-annotate all tasks very simply with just a click of a button. So I simply select the tasks and hit the pre-annotate button. Once pre-annotation results are available, this is signaled by a green circle which appears next to the task name. I can explore the tasks in the annotation view. Here I see results generated by my models and my prompts. You can see the confidence level associated with the predictions, and you can either accept the predictions or further edit those before submitting a final completion. So you can navigate easily between the different tasks in your project, skip them if you want to defer their annotation for a later time. Now let's imagine we are dealing with issues such as limited availability of training data, which can occur in a lot of situations, or with data imbalance, or we just need some data to experiment with in order to maybe validate some research hypothesis. In this case, we can turn to generative AI in order to help with the generation of custom and diverse data sets. So let's see how this is done. So from within the project, navigate to the import page. On the generate synthetic data tab, you can put your prompt. This time it needs to be more specific. You need to specify the elements you need ChatGPT to include in your text. So such as like the entities that need to be covered, or for example, I specified I want the text to be written from the perspective of a patient, which is discussing a health related issue on an online health forum. So each text must mention at least one treatment the patient is currently on, maybe one side effect of the treatment. Each text should contain information about patient's age and gender and ethnicity. And you can include as many other instructions as you need in your prompt. And use an informal writing style similar to the oral language or to social media posts. Finally, I specify to skip salutations or standard introductions, and I give an example of such a phrase. I can then tune the settings of the prompt, like the temperature and the number of samples that I need, and click on the generate results. After a while, my tasks will start appearing in the table of results. So you can expand each task, read the content of its content, edit it if necessary to ensure maybe variability within your data set, or to check that it is the right data. You can stop the task generation process at all time in order to avoid unnecessary changes when you notice your prompts need editing, or maybe you have repetitive results, or you didn't obtain the results that you needed. It's also possible to download the generated tasks in CSV format for safekeeping or for reuse in other projects. Users can also assign tags to tasks in order to quickly identify them among other tasks from the original project. And finally, I can select the tasks I want and import them all to my project. Then I navigate to the tasks view to see the new tasks. I can pre-annotate those with my models and prompts, just like I did for the other regular tasks. So once pre-annotation is completed, I can start exploring the content of those tasks and fix them if necessary, following the regular annotation flow used in annotation projects. So you can notice that the pre-annotations generated with DL models are merged within the same view as those generated by the ChatGPT, right? So we have one single view, everything is merged into that pre-annotation or prediction view. Each one of the pre-annotations has a confidence value, and it's also possible for the users to filter their draft completion based on the pre-annotation confidence scores. So there is a slider, you can choose which is the minimum and maximum confidence levels that you want to work with, so that you can filter out all the noise in your pre-annotations and start with a lot less editing to do if you notice that there are some low confidence pre-annotations which appear in your data. Okay, so in terms of lesson learned so far, I can say it is very important to clearly establish your goal from the start of the project. What classification goals do you have, or what entities do you want to identify? Is there a clear way to define those entities via a descriptive text, like a prompt? Are those entities fuzzy or abstract? If so, you might want to skip the use of NERD prompt-based pre-annotations, as it can introduce more noise into your into your tasks, and this will slow down your team of annotators. Second, it's very good to test and refine your prompts regularly. So use small iterations, and remember that generative AI often thrives on the quality of the prompts or inputs. So testing and refining those prompts on a regular basis is a key to success. It's a process of continuously improving continuously improving your prompts. The small tweaks can lead to significant enhancements. So make sure you pre-annotate in small batches, then test your results, and if necessary, update the prompts, and then pre-annotate again or pre-annotate the remaining tasks. It's also very good to collaborate and share insights within the team, and to encourage active collaboration and information sharing within your team as part of your inter-annotators agreement meeting. So insights gained from one team member experiments can benefit the others. And this way you can harness the collective intelligence of your team and expertise in order to achieve more refined and more impactful outcomes in your project. While large language models have clearly revolutionized the field of natural language processing, it's essential to be aware also of their limitations as we navigate and we experiment with their applications for NLP projects. First of all, it's worth noting that LLMs may not excel in certain specific tasks, especially when it comes to entity extraction. So unlike dedicated models designed for name entity recognition, LLMs can exhibit limitations in correctly identifying and extracting entities within text. So another challenge is that LLMs can exhibit unpredictable behavior across a list of tasks. So while they perform very well on some of the tasks, their performance drops exponentially on other tasks, right? So they are less predictable than the DL models. LLMs are often a fantastic choice to kickstart the project and gain quick insights into your data. However, it's essential to know that they may be less reliable than deep learning models, specifically tailored for a particular task and adapted to that task. So for mission-critical applications, a custom DL model may be more appropriate than an LLM. So LLMs can also face challenges with handling long tasks. So their context window is limited, and analyzing lengthy documents or conversation can be challenging. So this limitation can result in incomplete understanding or suboptimal performance for extensive text inputs. In this situation, you can consider using section-based annotation feature, for instance, proposed by the NLP Lab. So to sum up, we have seen how to edit, test, share, and reuse prompts, how to mix and match models, rules, and prompts as part of projects, all that via a simple and intuitive no-code interface built for domain experts. It's worth mentioning that all the features I presented today are also accessible via API. There is a need to integrate the pre-annotation pipelines into your custom data processing flows, right? So you can access all features of the NLP Lab via API as well. So to conclude this session, let me give you some pointers on where you can find the NLP Lab. So if you are on any of the following marketplaces, AWS, Azure, or OCI, you can find our product with a simple search and install it in a couple of clicks. It's very easy, straightforward. If you prefer on-premise deployment, you can install NLP Lab on your own infrastructure, giving you full control over your environment, your data, your team. For this, we have prepared a one-liner script you can use, which is available on our website. So NLP Lab is a free tool accessible to everyone. There is no cost associated with using it, so you can leverage its capabilities without any financial commitments. So we're here to support our users. So if you have questions or need guidance or run into any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can contact us via Slack or email. Our dedicated team is ready to assist you. So thank you for attending my presentation, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit.